Yo, what's up guys? It's Jeff, and today I wanted to share with you guys my experience of switching from the iPhone 11 Pro Max to the LG V60 THINQ. Now, a bit of background here. I am coming from the Apple ecosystem, but in my experience overview, I'm not really going to talk about ecosystems. We'll just go through my raw experience with the V60. Now, with that being said, let's get on to the details. So comparing the specs, starting with the iPhone, it comes with the A13 Bionic chip, 4 GB of RAM, and I configured it to 256 GB of storage when I bought it. On the other hand, the V60 comes with the latest Snapdragon 865, which can handle 5G connections. It also comes with 8 GB of RAM and has 128 GB of internal storage. Now, due to the ability to expand on storage via a micro SD card, I actually took an extra 128 GB card and installed that into the V60 specifically for photos and videos. That way I can just take out the micro SD card and edit photos and videos straight from that card without having to worry about file transfers from the V60 to my Mac or whatever computer I might be using. So for the most part, except for RAM, the specs are pretty even here as far as hardware goes. Now, other than comparing specs, I'm really not going to compare too much else with these two devices. I simply just want to give you my pros and cons of using the LG V60 and not get into the entire Android versus Apple thing. So let's get on to my actual experience with the LG V60. I'll start off with the pros, and the first thing that I have to say is that I'm very impressed with this fingerprint sensor. The V60 has an in-screen fingerprint reader that is actually working really well. It's very consistent, it's fast, and so far the only issues that I've had is with overall speed, and that was actually patched via a software update, so no problems with that feature at the time of filming this video. Moving on, and the dedicated Google Assistant button along with the Google Assistant itself has been a huge game changer for me as well. Having that dedicated button is really nice, and being able to access the Google Assistant in an easier way, compared to Siri of course, just makes my workflow on this phone really fast. Now, there are other devices out there with dedicated assistant buttons, but you can't really reprogram them to work with Google specifically. So that's something that I really value here with the V60. Now, one thing that I have been taking advantage of is the 32-bit Hi-Fi Dac that the LG V60 comes with. Typically, I just listen to music via Bluetooth, but since this phone comes with a full-on DAC on board, I just couldn't resist breaking out the audio cable and taking a listen. Honestly, if you haven't tried LG's Hi-Fi Dac, you really need to. It's miles apart from the normal headphone jack experience. Now, if you are a phone manufacturer out there and you have a headphone jack, or you plan on bringing it back to your devices, take note from LG. They've done a really good job here with the entire audio experience on the V60. Now let's move on to my experience with battery life, and it has been phenomenal. For someone like me who is always on their phone, this is an actual use category that is super important. If I want to watch a video and I still move around, I typically just take my phone with me, and I actually consume a lot of media through mobile devices just because of that. So being able to do that and still maintaining really good battery life is a huge plus with the V60, and I give them a huge thumbs up for putting that 5,000 milliamp hour battery on board. Now, in regards to battery life, I'm seeing about a full 24-hour cycle here, so I actually don't have to charge up my V60 for a very long time. I could, of course, extend that to near 30 hours if I didn't consume so much media, but it's nice to know that I could do a whole lot more and still get very similar battery life to what I was seeing on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Now, the last positive I really wanted to share with you is the camera experience. In my original review, I really praised LG for their new color science and how good it is when you compare it to Apple's. What I said still holds true, and especially after using it for over a week now, I'm actually really even more impressed by the photos and videos that come out of the V60. What really impressed me though was actually the log or flat color profile that you can export videos at. That means I can take really high quality 4K content out of the V60, take the footage to Final Cut Pro, and full on color grade that footage and have a lot of room to work with in regards to manipulating the footage color wise. This definitely isn't going to replace my Sony a7R III anytime soon, but it is nice to get that really good log profile so I can achieve the look that I want to get in my videos. And remember, all of this is from a freaking cell phone, so that's a really cool feature to have built in into the LG V60. I'll actually be doing a full in-depth video on the LG V60 log profile and how it compares to high-end cameras. So if you don't want to miss out on that content, make sure to get subscribed, and that video should be out soon. So with all of the positives put out there, I wanted to touch up on some of the things I don't like with the LG V60. First off, I just don't like the notch and the front camera on this device. Obviously, the iPhone has a huge notch and the V60 is still smaller, but the iPhone at least has Face ID and good portrait photos. The V60 just doesn't, and I really don't understand why LG maintained the notch and couldn't have just put the front-facing camera a little bit higher. If the V60 had a really good front-facing camera and also facial recognition of any kind whatsoever, I would totally understand, but it just doesn't. So this entire setup seems a little bit unnecessary to me. The second thing is the 8K video mode. Now, the 8K coming out of this or any other mobile device is not going to be that great compared to a full-on mirrorless camera shooting at 4K. The sensor is just not large enough. But if you're going to market 8K as being a highlighted feature, I think it could at least be usable, but it's not on the V60, and that's same with the Galaxy S20 Ultra. Quality aside, the files can't even write fast enough to the micro SD card or internal storage. So you'll see a bunch of stutters in the footage, and for the most part, it's just completely unusable. To me, LG isn't very gimmicky when it comes to features, and they typically just give you what you absolutely need. But with this 8K video feature, I can tell they just got a little bit out of that habit, and they tried pushing out a new feature that just isn't usable. So I really wish I could say that the 8K video is a cool feature, but it's just not usable for the most part, so I have to say it's really not that impressive. Now, the last thing that I have to say about the LG V60 is that the software is inferior to devices out there like the iPhone 11 Pro Max and the Galaxy S20. This is a well-known fact, and LG has always been known for having not the best software experience. So hopefully they can work on their software and UI experience a bit more so they can compete in that aspect when it comes to mobile experiences in the future. For now though, they are most certainly improvements that can be made to the software. So guys, those were the major pros and cons that I found in my experience with the LG V60. And honestly, I have a lot more great things to say about it than not. The display is incredible, the mics are phenomenal, and the AI in the cameras is something that is really, really impressive. So far, putting the Apple ecosystem totally aside, I'd say that the LG V60 is one of the best value smartphones that I've used in a really long time. If any of you are looking at getting anything in the Samsung Galaxy S20 lineup, look at the V60 first. It's like $600 cheaper, and the overall experience is not too far off from the Galaxy S20. So this leads us to the very big question. Will I make the switch permanently from the iPhone 11 Pro Max to the V60? The answer is unfortunately no, only because I'm stuck in the Apple ecosystem and I can't find a workaround for that. If the V60 had iMessage, AirDrop, and maybe Face ID, I'm totally on board with the V60 all day long. So with that said, hopefully Apple gets its act together and makes something spectacular on the hardware and software side this year, because the LG V60 is really attractive to me right now, especially at that $800 price point. I will say though that I will be using this camera on the V60 extensively, so it's not completely disappearing, and I'll be making more content on the photos and videos that you can get out of this device. So guys, that's it. That's my experience of switching to the LG V60. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment those down below. I'll be sure to get back to you guys as soon as possible. If you want to see future content on the LG V60 and any other devices that come out this year, definitely get subscribed and hit that notification bell button so you can get updates on when that content is released. Anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and hopefully I'll be seeing you in some upcoming content. Until then, I hope you all have an awesome day. Really quickly, guys, before you head out, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Hawthorne for sponsoring today's video. So go check them out. There's a link in the video description down below. Hawthorne creates this super awesome custom set of shampoo, soap, conditioner, and other items that will be made custom for you through their online questionnaire. What's even better is everything is shipped directly to your door every couple of months, so you'll always be getting product when you need it. Of course, you can always switch things up online if you want to change your smells or fragrances, or if you want to change your shipping schedule as well. So guys, go take your tailor-made Hawthorne bathroom quiz. There's a link down in the video description below.